17 years. 17 years of waiting for a new Nissan Frontier. Now, we all know that pickup trucks have longer lifespans where they don't really change generations or platforms as frequently as sedans and crossovers. But I don't think almost 20 years is an industry norm. To put that into perspective, the last time the Nissan Frontier was technically all new was 2004, and that was before YouTube even existed. So if you were watching car reviews, it was on your TV screen, and iPads and iPhones also didn't exist. So a lot has changed in that time. How you guys purchase vehicles has also changed as well. Everything's now on the internet, and back when the Nissan Frontier was brand new for the last generation, it was still all done in person or on the phone. So amazing to see where things have gone. But for 2022, Nissan has made some significant improvements. But I think the question is, have they done enough to be very competitive with the Toyota Tacoma, Chevrolet Colorado, or Ford Ranger? And that's why I am here to find out, because there's a lot of excitement behind the new Nissan Frontier, and a lot of people are saying that it is the new benchmark, and we're going to find out if that's true. So in this video, we're going to take a good long look at the 2022 Nissan Frontier, see how it compares to last generation, and also see how it compares to other pickups in its segment, and also see why, if you're looking at buying a new mid-sized pickup that can pretty much do it all, that's a jack of all trades, then maybe taking a look at the 2022 Nissan Frontier might be a great decision. Now, before I get in this video, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to Bach Nissan in Norwood, Massachusetts for allowing me to do this review. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out their extensive Nissan inventory. Also, before we get started, make sure to hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you're notified every time a new video goes live on the channel. And so, without wasting any further time, let's get right in this review. For the better part of almost 2 decades, Nissan has fared relatively well in the mid-sized pickup truck market, where they found themselves in the middle of the pack when going head-to-head with the Chevy Colorado and Ford Ranger. But for years, the Toyota Tacoma has single-handedly owned this segment and has been seen as the benchmark. Aiming to return to relevancy, the 2022 Nissan Frontier isn't just here to be another rugged and durable alternative, as the Japanese manufacturer has made it quite clear they want to put Toyota on notice. With new looks and promising numbers on paper, the Frontier could very well be the new king of the playground. But as the pickup truck segment has evolved, buyers have a growing list of demands that Nissan must meet to be successful in the long run. Starting off with pricing, the model in this review is a Pro 4X, coming in at just over $38,000, which is surprisingly a minor reduction in cost compared to last generation, and that's because some features are no longer standard for 2022. Besides the exterior looks, there's been some dimensional changes, where the Frontier grows in length by about 5 inches. But to keep this pickup similar to what consumers have been purchasing for 17 years, it's no wider than last year, and that should retain loyal customers who have voiced their disappointment in how large midsize pickups have become. With the Frontier having a body-on-frame chassis, owners will enjoy the ruggedness and off-road capability, and with almost 10 inches of ground clearance, you'll easily be able to take on Mother Nature, or at the very least, snow-covered roadways. After 17 successful years with the second generation, any tweaks and adjustments could be seen as a major risk. But Nissan avoided the one mistake so many brands make, and that's completely tarnishing the legacy of a vehicle with an impeccable reputation. Instead, they gave the Frontier aesthetics and a road presence that's not only modernized, but aggressive and on par with the Toyota Tacoma. By designing and crafting a scaled-down version of the Titan, this mid-size pickup has cosmetic styling that you expect from far bigger and more expensive trucks. And with the removal of the chrome accents for 2022, the Frontier has the same rugged qualities we see from the Tacoma and Chevy Colorado. Noticeable on this model are the tow hook mounts found tucked away on the front bumper. And by opting for the Pro 4X, you'll have full LED headlights and fog lights to provide an adequate amount of illumination as you traverse the trails. Moving over to the side profile, the Pro 4X will be sitting on 17-inch aluminum alloy wheels wrapped in all-terrain tires. And as we saw on last year's model, you will have Bilstein off-road performance shock absorbers, which we didn't get to fully experience during our test drive. But ride quality is what you'd expect from a pickup, and is a departure from the softer driving characteristics that you'll notice with the Ford Ranger or Honda Ridgeline. Providing better access to the cab of the Frontier is the optional $750 off-road style step rails, which is just one of a handful of accessories you can purchase to customize your pickup. You'll have body color folding side mirrors to go along with blind spot detection for added safety. Then coming around to the back, the most noticeable improvement is that the tailgate has been dampened to allow for easier access to the bed. And since this Frontier is equipped with the convenience package, it will have spray-on bed liner, a bed-mounted 120-volt AC power outlet, LED bed lighting, and a Class 4 tow hitch. And that leads us into the towing capacity, which for this model comes in at right around 6,700 pounds, which is on par with most competitors. And the payload capacity is around 1,600 pounds. While not a class leader by any means, it will offer the capability you're looking for in a daily pickup. Under the hood, the Nissan Frontier is powered by a 3.6-liter naturally aspirated V6 engine that puts out 310 horsepower and 281 pound-feet of torque, and is paired with a 9-speed automatic transmission. Powertrains for pickups in this segment are always subject to debate, whether a Turbo 4 like we see in the Ranger or a Turbo Diesel that's offered for the Colorado is a better decision due to improved torque figures. But for the on-road driving experience, the Frontier provides a good amount of low-end power where you have no problem getting on the highway or passing slower traffic. As the badging on this Frontier suggests, this model is a 4x4, and will likely be your drivetrain choice if you plan to take on the elements. For fuel economy, you're looking at right around 17 miles per gallon in the city, and 22 miles per gallon on the highway. Stepping inside, our model is equipped with 2 level heated cloth seats for both the driver and passenger, with the driver's side being 8-way power adjustable, whereas passengers will have to manually find their ideal seating position. Optional and highly recommended for the best experience Nissan can offer you with the Frontier is the $2,790 Pro Premium package, giving you leather-appointed seats, a power moonroof, and the upgraded 10-speaker Fender Premium audio system. While this Frontier is well equipped, going the extra mile might be worth the extra cost. In front of you, between the analog gauges, there will be a digital display that showcases a variety of relevant information. And it's from here where you can access some vehicle settings as well. Then taking a glance over to the infotainment system, standard is a 9-inch touchscreen, with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility, to go along with onboard navigation. While this user interface isn't the most in-depth with embedded menus, responsiveness was quite impressive, as with most vehicles in this price range, you expect some lagging or low resolution quality. The quick access buttons and physical dials for the volume and tuning helps blend the modern layout with traditional aesthetics, giving drivers the best of both worlds. By opting for the Pro 4X, you'll have numerous camera angles to choose from to make navigating the trails easier, and allowing you to see what's in front of you. Since our model does have the technology package, we do have rear cross traffic alert, rear automatic braking, traffic sign recognition, and lane departure warning, to name a few driver assistance features to make your daily commutes more enjoyable. Below, for buyers looking for an analog feel, it's here where the buttons for your dual zone climate control, 2-level heated seats, and heated steering wheel can be found, along with the USB-C and USB inputs. Of course, you will have on-demand 4-wheel drive, with the dial conveniently placed on the dash. As we make our way to the center console, there will be a cubby for a smartphone or a loose change. But also with the Pro 4X trim, you have a wireless phone charging pad. But it should be noted that unlike a growing list of vehicles in 2021, the Frontier doesn't offer wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. For the center storage compartment, you'll have enough room for smaller items, including a wallet or another smartphone. Now for passengers in the back, Hopefully you guys can see me because the lighting isn't the best right now. We're going to start off on the passenger side. And this seat is adjusted all the way back and it's on a recline. And I don't really have a lot of legroom to work with here. Now I could move the seat up more just to be more fair. But there is one element that will stand out regardless of where this seat is adjusted. And that is the floor. The floor sits pretty high up. So as a result, you do sit in more of a ball. And normally you don't see that even for mid-size pickups. So keep that in mind. Now, of course, mid-size pickups are not the most conducive for a family or taller passengers. So obviously, it's not going to be that much of a shock that you're not going to have tall passengers back here on the height of 6 feet tall. Because I do think that they will hit their head on the headliner. But if you do have kids back here, they should be fine. It shouldn't be too uncomfortable for them. And of course, with these being cloth seats and not leather seats, they're gonna miss out on some of that comfort, but it still isn't that bad. I think when it comes to legroom, they should be fine, especially for shorter kids. Now for the center seat, you are gonna have some good placements for your feet, and the center hump is not very aggressive at all. So you could try squeezing a third person back here. The only concern though is shoulder room, because even me sitting back here by myself, I know for a fact that if someone was to sit next to me, I'd be pretty cramped right there when it comes to that shoulder room. So certainly keep that in mind. Now on shorter drives, I could just sit in a ball like this and maybe have a person to my left or right. But I do think that if you are looking for a pickup that can fit 3 people across on a daily basis and comfortably, you're gonna wanna go with the Titan. And then on the driver's side, I adjusted the seat to someone of my height, around 5'5", and I have a more than adequate amount of legroom. But my only concern is how awkward I'm sitting with the floor being as high as it is, because I'm not really reclining as much, I'm not really relaxing. And I understand that's not really the point of a pickup, but I just think that when it comes to that aspect, that's one thing that I would be a bit concerned about on a longer drive. But if you don't have people in the back of your pickup all the time, then this is gonna be more than fine, especially when it comes to legroom. I think headroom for average size adults should be fine as well. But for taller people, that's where I think it's gonna get a bit cramped. Also back here, you will have a USB-C and USB input to go along with the 3-pronged outlet. And rounding out the rear seating area, you do get a center armrest with 2 cup holders. Then, as we see with most pickups in this segment, you will have a compartment beneath the second row seats. So if you do have maybe tools or other valuable equipment, you can leave them back here and have that peace of mind knowing that no one will be able to peek in and steal what you have if you leave your Frontier unattended for a few hours. So we are now behind the wheel of the Nissan Frontier, which everyone is talking about being the new benchmark in the mid-size pickup segment. And I've had the opportunity to spend about 10 to 15 minutes with this vehicle before taking it out for a test drive. And I gotta be honest, this is a really, truly nice spec. So let's get this 0 to 60 acceleration in. Pretty quick for this naturally aspirated 3.8 liter V6. Now, the 9-speed automatic transmission that comes with this pickup is not the same transmission that we experienced in the Nissan Pathfinder. The Pathfinder has a 9-speed sourced by ZF, and this transmission is actually from Mercedes-Benz. And what I'm noticing here is that the gear shifts are a lot smoother. They're more crisp than the ZF 9-speed, and that's going to add to the driving experience, but also I think it pairs up very well with this V6. A pretty good amount of torque off the line for a vehicle that doesn't really have the most power that you can get. I mean, of course, with the turbocharged 4 cylinders that we see from the Ranger, and also the turbo diesel from the Colorado, you're gonna have that torque, a good amount of torque. This is actually pretty decent for what you get. And I think when you look at where the pickup truck market is going, I think a lot of people are concerned that we're just gonna have an entire market of Ford Rangers, where you're gonna have this more softer experience, because the last time I featured a Ranger, I believe was 2 or 3 years ago, and it was pretty soft compared to the Chevrolet Colorado. But the Frontier, on the other hand, it feels rugged, it feels capable, and this really feels very much on par with the Toyota Tacoma. When I look at the exterior, when I look at the interior, and when I look at what this vehicle is providing at its price point, this isn't a vehicle that's trying to go up against an entire market. It's singling out that Toyota Tacoma. And I think what Nissan has done here is that they've hit the nail on the head here, where you have a vehicle that is powerful. You have a good amount of performance with the horsepower. Torque numbers aren't that bad either. It does outperform the Tacoma. But I do think that you're always going to have those people that are going to say, well, you could always have a turbocharged 4-cylinder and you could have a bit more torque. And I think when you look at the pickup market, there's always that nitpicking, because I think even when it comes to the interior with the hard touch plastics, people are going to be out there saying, oh, I wish it was a little more softer. Or even for this model today, I don't have the leather seats, I don't have the moonroof, so maybe you're going to have people that are going to be like, oh, it's not luxurious enough, it's not comfortable enough. But if you're looking for a purpose-built pickup, I think what the Frontier is offering here in this particular model and spec is exactly what a lot of adventurous people are going to be searching for. Now, when it comes to interior quality and also space as well, I think what you're going to like here is that, yes, it feels rugged, but it's still comfortable too. These premium cloth seats feel really nice, they're high quality, and I don't really feel like you're going to miss out if you don't get the leather. You don't opt for that leather or the moonroof. This is still a vehicle I think is going to be suitable if you are going to get this pickup dirty consistently, and just from the ease of cleanliness, having the cloth seats would be far more beneficial. Now, when it comes to front vision, you do have plenty of it. Nice panoramic view. A-pillars are not really that aggressive at all. The side mirrors are spaced a little further out so you can see what's in your blind spots. And then, of course, with this being a pickup, you're not going to have the best visibility looking out the back, but I can still see what's behind me. So plenty of visibility, but also more importantly, especially up front, tons of room as well, so you're not going to feel claustrophobic. Another thing too here, and of course you're going to experience this across the board pickups, is you do have a extended hood, so that will affect a little bit what you can see in front of you. But of course you do have the trail cams when you are on the off-road and you need to avoid some obstacles or some rocks. But what I'm really liking here with the Nissan Frontier is that the interior is very quiet. It's very well insulated, and even though it is truck-like, it's durable and it's built on a body-on-frame chassis, it rides pretty well. You're not really getting abused on the roads when you are hitting the potholes or the imperfections, especially up here in New England. So from a daily driving aspect, it can certainly be done, and you're not going to get tired of driving this vehicle around. But also the fact that it is quiet in here, that you're not hearing the droning of the engine, you're not hearing the constant road noise, especially at highway speeds at around 50 miles an hour. That should go a long way with most buyers, especially in today's market. I think when you look at where brands are going with the more softer ride quality, they're going with this more crossover-like experience, especially when you look at what the Ford Ranger is. And I understand the next generation Ford Ranger is going to be built on the Ford Bronco platform, but when you look at where the pickup market in general is going, they're really trying to give you more of an upscale experience. They're trying to give you a experience that would be similar to a crossover, but you have a cargo bed. And some buyers are not really appreciating that. I think that's what hurt Ford with the Ranger and bringing that back. And then with Nissan, they learned from all their competitors' mistakes. So you have a vehicle that provides a good amount of performance, that has a nice, comfortable interior, that also, I think, is not tacky or cheap. Of course, you don't have a full digital gauge cluster, and I don't think that's really necessary for a vehicle in this market. I think a lot of buyers will overlook that, especially if you are using this for a purpose, where you are going to be carrying stuff, towing stuff. You probably don't really care about the technology. But also this 9-inch infotainment system, it's the perfect size. So we're starting to see these bigger infotainment systems make their way into pickups even right now in 2021, and I think that it's gotten to a point where it's getting a little ridiculous, that it's not necessary. But this fits right in, and it doesn't look cheap, it blends in really well, and I understand from an interior aspect, this would be the benchmark. It's a great place to be. But also what they did too is that they didn't make the Frontier too big. So of course it is 5 inches longer, but width-wise, doesn't feel any different than last generation. And I think a lot of buyers can appreciate that, especially when you look at where the mid-size pickup truck market is going. They're becoming almost full-size pickups. So what Nissan did is that they gave you a pickup that's really not much bigger than the last generation, which should retain some of the loyal customers that they've had over the last 17 years. But also what they did too is that they really upgraded the performance. They gave you a vehicle that I think is very well balanced all around. And even though we have the Bilstein off-road shocks, doesn't really affect the ride quality. I'm not really, noticing the bumps as much. It doesn't feel much different than some of the more sportier vehicles out there that I've reviewed this year. So when it comes to driving this pickup on road and going to wherever you need to be, such as a Home Depot or Lowe's, or just daily commuting to work, you are at least going to have a comfortable experience while still having that capability. You're still going to have the payload capacity and the towing capacity. And speaking of the capacities that you have here with the Frontier, I think that's where buyers can be a little nitpicky. And that's where I'm not going to say that from an overall perspective that the Frontier is the benchmark. Because I think when you look at the payload capacity and the towing capacity, there is a bit of a differential compared to the Colorado. And whether you can really tow 7,000 pounds or not, I think buyers buy into those numbers. They're going to look at, I can tow an extra 300 pounds with the Colorado, and some buyers are going to say, I'd rather go Chevy. But when you look at the numbers, they are on par. They're not class leaders, but they are definitely realistic numbers that should fit the lifestyles of most people who do go off-road, that do tow whatever they're using, maybe an RV or some small boats, or even some jet skis if they want to go to the lake. This is just a vehicle that I think is better suited to do that now. It's modernized. It looks great. It kind of looks like a Toyota Tacoma, in my opinion. I think the aesthetics, the cosmetic features, it does look like the Tacoma, but that's not necessarily a bad thing at all, because it tells me that Nissan is focusing on the leader in this market, and I think they have a vehicle that can definitely give Toyota a run for its money. So just for the heck of it, let's see what the body roll situation is like. Obviously, I will not be taking these corners as high of a speed that I normally would in a sports car. And it feels relatively planted at around 34, 35 miles an hour. But again, you are going to feel some of that body roll, and this does not have a lower center of gravity, so that's to be expected. But if you are taking this vehicle out on some back roads, at least you will have some confidence in the corners. All in all, what you have here with the Nissan Frontier is basically a baby Nissan Titan. And you feel that in the interior. The interior feels bigger than most mid-size pickups. I think it starts off with the steering wheel. The steering wheel is massive, but also even the dashboard layout itself. But then when you look at the exterior, it shares some cosmetic styling with the Titan, and it looks rugged, it looks capable, but also I still think it looks very much like the Toyota Tacoma. And that's really what I think is most important for this pickup, is that it's going to go head-to-head with the class leader. It's going to go head-to-head with what Americans love. And really, when you look at what this vehicle can do, when you look at the towing capacity, the payload capacity, the performance, I love the performance of this. I'm not begging for more power, at least for this test drive. I don't know what buyers who are going to be towing or maybe even having stuff in the cargo bed are going to say, but from a daily driving aspect for a pickup, this is pretty nice. And also, even though you do have hard touch plastics, it's pretty high quality in here. The ride quality is nice, even though it's really built for the off-road, for this particular trim anyway. But also when it comes to road noise, it's pretty quiet too. So I think what you have here is a pickup that is a jack of all trades, that can pretty much do it all. And it also has been updated where I think buyers are gonna love it, especially if you have purchased a Frontier in the past. You're not going to walk in and say, wow, this is a massively bigger pickup than last generation. It really isn't, only length. And when it comes to the width, it's not that bad either. It's not a big vehicle by any means. So it's certainly maneuverable if you are in tight situations. But I think what you're going to love here, though, is that the interior is traditional pickup. So after 17 years of waiting and 17 years of seeing the exact same Frontier in showrooms at all Nissan dealers, did Nissan create the perfect successor to last generation? And after spending a few hours with this pickup, I think so, because they learned from other brands' mistakes by not going too overboard with the technology for the interior, but also they made sure that they were going to outclass the Toyota Tacoma when it comes to power, specifically horsepower and torque. Now, when it comes to payload capacity and towing capacity, that might be a different story, because the numbers are on par, but they're not class leaders. It's certainly going to be competitive in this market. That's why I am not going to rush to conclusions. I'm not going to say this is the benchmark, because I know the pickup truck markets and segments are very competitive, but also the buyers who purchase vehicles like this are very specific in what they want, and their demands are very high. Because I do think that objectively, some people could say that, oh, I wish it had a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine to get that better torque. Or maybe some buyers want to have maybe a diesel option like we see with the Chevrolet Colorado. And maybe it's just people out there who want to have a Toyota Tacoma. But I feel that for 2022, the Nissan Frontier is a true rival to the Tacoma. You see that when it comes to the exterior with the design. Now, even though the design is really based off of the Titan, it looks aggressive, it looks modern, it looks sleek, and it looks capable. But for me, though, it's the interior, because my first impression seeing the Frontier for the first time was like, wow, this looks good, especially in this particular trim. But it's the interior that has impressed me the most, because when you have the interior layout, you have a very traditional cab for the Frontier, and I think buyers are going to appreciate that. But the technology is blended in so seamlessly and naturally. It doesn't look fake, it doesn't look superficial. And I love the 9-inch infotainment system, very easy to use, quick access buttons, and also you have dials as well. So you have physical buttons across the board, and it's gonna make the user experience so much better. But I think a lot of buyers who have purchased Nissans in the past, specifically the Frontier, are gonna love that traditional layout. They're gonna love the fact that this is still truck-like. More importantly, they listen to their buyers and what they want in a pickup. So it's not much wider than last generation. Now, there is a 5-inch difference when it comes to length, but you're not going to notice that. And even when it comes to the on-road experience, it doesn't feel much bigger than last generation at all. So it's certainly maneuverable. You can drive around tight spaces, and really, I think it's the perfect size for a pickup. But in closing, what I love about the Nissan Frontier and why I'm so excited about what this pickup is offering is that whether it's on paper or experiencing it in person, is that it's going up against the Toyota Tacoma, that they're aiming for Toyota. They want to be in that top spot. And I think what Nissan has done here is that they've made a vehicle that is certainly comparable to the Toyota Tacoma. And now, if you are looking at buying one, you can now take a look at Nissan and see what they're offering and say, you know what? I think Nissan has the perfect pickup for what I need. It's a great all-around vehicle, and maybe it's time to make that switch. Maybe I don't need a Toyota anymore. Maybe I can go Nissan. And that's why when I was looking at this pickup, when I was looking at what it was offering, and even during the test drive, I completely forgot that there was a Colorado and Ford Ranger, because this to me is as close to a Tacoma that you're going to get on the market today in 2021. And I really think what Nissan has done to the Frontier for this model year is substantial and I think very exciting. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Also make sure to follow me on Instagram at Boston Autoblog so you can see what I'm up to and what vehicles I'll be featuring in the future. And I will see you guys next time.